Hi, if you like the video, please remember to subscribe.
Hi, I'm Rob from robnonphoto.com, and this is a little video about something close to my heart, which is magazines, and which magazines we should be spending our money on. Because as photographers, it's very easy to spend an awful lot of money on magazines and how-to guides and all that sort of stuff. And the thing that kind of inspired me to record this video today is the latest issue has come out of Rankins Hunger magazine. It's the end of November in UK 2012. So if you're watching this video now, as in almost the end of November, and you're in the UK, and it's available all over the world as well, you know, get down to your local newsagents and pick up a copy. Even if you haven't heard of Rankin before, maybe you have heard of him and maybe you're not too keen on his work, you know, check it out, because what you get for £5, 5 measly bucks, is hundreds of pages of beautifully printed, amazing photographs that will definitely inspire you and give you loads of ideas about things to take photographs of, perhaps maybe things how you don't want to take photographs of. But it's really, really good work. Now, the thing about the Hunger magazine, though, is almost, well, 90% of the work in here is by Rankin, the photographer. Yeah, you know, it could be, you get a little bit, I won't say the word sick of it after a while, but his style, very crisp, very contrasty, you know. There are lots of alternatives as well, and in here we have Rankin. You know, this is his magazine, this is his work, his passion. But it comes out every 6 months, and it's a great sort of reference piece. It's a great read, and it's a great visual read as well to look through at the different types of photographs. Now, beyond the fact of just enjoying it as something to look at and have a cup of coffee with, it brings up the whole kind of conundrum of this sort of thing, which are photography magazines. And I was saying, you know, these things can be, you know, quite expensive. If you add up how much you spend on these over a whole year, you probably think, gosh, I could have bought a new lens or something like that. And I think once you get beyond a certain point where you kind of understand the basics, say, of exposure, you know, shutter priority mode, aperture priority mode, manual priority mode, and things like that, and you're not really looking, say, to buy a camera, so you're not interested in the gear reviews and stuff like that, I may even suggest that buying magazines like this might be slightly counterproductive if you want to become better at your skill. Because the thing to remember is, although the photography often in these magazines is very good and interesting, most of it has obviously been shot to go into a magazine about how learning to become a better photographer. Whereas if you pick up, say, I don't know, even something as simple as, for free, like the latest IKEA catalogue, all the interior photography in here of all the different things that they sell, IKEA have paid a photographer or a team of photographers with a artistic director and a stylist and all this sort of stuff to produce these photographs. So if you want to get into interior photography of products, say, like the stuff that IKEA sells, what you should do is pick up a copy of the IKEA catalogue and look through it and see how they shoot stuff in there. And you can kind of reverse engineer lighting. I mean, the things that tend to come across straight away is things like white balance, colour, detail. You know, they're very natural and they're very true to, you know, what you'll be buying in the store, because people, you know, are going to be looking through this, and if they see that cake tin is that certain shade of turquoise, when they go into IKEA, they want that, don't they? So, you know, something like that's free. Another one I picked up today, this is Asda's Christmas catalogue, food photography. You know, instead of reading about how to do food photography, why not just pick up a free magazine that's actually got pictures of real food photography that somebody has paid somebody to do, you know, so this is the good stuff in terms of paid commercial photography. And again, you can reverse engineer it. You can look at things like, what's the point of view, where's the light coming from, you know, why is the food shiny, what is the composition, how is it laid out, what's the depth of field, where do they leave space for things like writing, is it portrait, is it landscape, is it square shots? Because at the end of the day, if you wanted to become a commercial photographer shooting bowls of soup, for a living, you know, you could get a tin of I don't know what this green stuff is. What is it? Pea and ham soup. Chuck some ham in it to make it look a bit like that, and try and recreate that shot. Because if you can make that shot in the same way that this Asda photographer has, you know, you're good enough sort of to become a commercial pea and ham soup shooter. What other examples have we got here? Something like Home and Antiques, BBC magazine. So if you wanted to become, you know, an architecture magazine, architecture shooter, maybe interiors or for estate agents, that sort of stuff, or advertising. You know, you look at the photographs in here, and you can again see, right, how do they use light? Do you see things like HDR or black and white or toned shots in these things? How do they deal with the difference in exposure, where you have an interior shot and then you have an exterior window, so you've got that massive dynamic range that's difficult to control? How do they deal with perspective? You know, one of the most challenging things when you're taking photographs inside or even outside of buildings is that, you know, the falling building syndrome, where things are all at angles because you're using a really wide lens. Or do you see any of that in these photos? Are the walls wonky? Are the doors wonky? Or are they using perspective correction in something like Photoshop? Or are they using more of a standard focal length lens? And how are they lighting it? And it really is very, very instructive, because you're reverse engineering actual paid photography, and that's not even to mention things like the adverts that are in there, aren't they? Because you know that in a magazine such as something produced by the BBC, most of the photographs in there, and I know we can all get into the whole argument about photographers working for free and all that sort of stuff in order to get exposure and to get bigger portfolios. You know, most of this is going to be paid for, and it's generally not stock photography as well. It's being commissioned to do it that way. What else have I got here? Oh, another good one in the UK actually for things like portrait photography is called Love magazine, and this is a very similar kind of idea to Rankins magazine, and the fact that we've got loads and loads and loads of mostly portrait photography and stuff like that. So there's lots of good stuff to look at. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, next time you're down the magazine shop, news agents, and corner shop, thinking about buying another copy of your favourite photo magazine, think about picking up something like National Geographic or some of the magazines I've shown today. Or maybe don't pick up that magazine, put that money to one side and start putting it towards a new lens, a new flash, maybe a new body, because you may find that in the long term your photography benefits even more. I'm Rob from robmanphoto.com. Thanks for watching.